Hi, my name is Samari. Welcome to my workshop on, grammar. I will not be discussing grammar, but more, I'll be discussing grammar, but I won't be teaching you grammar. Here's why. Grammar is not necessary to write. It is not necessary even to write well. And before I get into that, I just want to preface with the fact that if you're watching this video because you do not feel comfortable with grammar, if you weren't supported early on in your learning environment, if English isn't your first language, if you just have a hard time with grammar, I just wanted to make this video to share what I know and what I have learned in the hopes that it will help you and comfort you. Because again, grammar is not necessary to write well, even in an academic setting. High academia, college, and the literary community, it's not made for people. It's made to further the status quo. The status quo being that people in power will try to keep their power, and that's just generally the rule of the world at large, but it's the same with academia. Unfortunately, white people, straight people, cisgender people, able-bodied people, they have a significant advantage when it comes to academia. It will keep resources from you because it's not in their interest to share them. It's in their interest to keep them to themselves and to people like them. Because they want people only like themselves to have those resources. What they don't tell you is that, and what I have learned, having graduated with my bachelor's degree in creative writing and my master's degree in creative writing, is that the main goal of writing in general, and again, even academic writing and even like high academia, the goal is not to emulate and not to imitate academics. They will try to make you think that in order to climb up that ladder, in order to engage with academia, in order to sort of be understood and recognized in that field, whatever field you're in, they will try to make you think that you need to write in a certain way, use certain words, know how to use punctuation marks, and know how to pepper in semicolons and use a thesaurus. They want to make you think that you need to do those things in order to be recognized in your field and to be understood. It's not true. Or more specifically, you don't need to learn those things, especially not in a conventional way. The main goal of writing well in those settings is not to emulate those styles. It's not to pepper in semicolons and use a thesaurus. It's not to write like Shakespeare or what do I have behind me? Shakespeare or Frankenstein's over there, but it's not to write like them. It is to communicate what you have to say in a way that can be understood by the audience. Another thing that they don't tell you, and that I'm telling you, is that we all have something to say. We all have something that is uniquely ours. We all have, whether your thing is memoir, fan fiction, poetry, whatever. We all have something to share, and if you are watching this video, it probably means that you want to, and you want to write. Even if it's just for school, even if it's just for purely enjoyment, We all have something that is uniquely ours, and we have the right to learn how to share it. We have the right to understand how to communicate that in a way that is also understood by other people. That is everybody's right. Not everybody has the access to how to do that. And back to grammar, and back to just like the conventions of English and the ways in which academics would have you learn written English. They would have you learn it through textbooks and reading Shakespeare, and I guess specifically like almost Middle English or like Older English books, like Catcher in the Rye, Of Mice and Men, all those books. Let me tell you something. It's a secret. Don't tell my old professors this, but I probably read only about a third of what was actually assigned to me in college, and I have a 4.0 GPA. Why that is for one thing, half a mystery to me, and half I kind of know why. I learned in a conventional way until about like grade school. From then on, my education got a little tricky until college, when I had to sort of relearn those conventions again. Had to relearn academic English in a written way, and I didn't do that. I wasn't able to learn that through textbooks because I'm neurodivergent, and it just doesn't work well for me. That's not how I learn. I didn't read those books called? Okay, you get it. I didn't read like textbooks on it. I didn't just sit down and pore over those things that teachers assigned to me. That's not how I learned how to use punctuation. That's not how I learned how to structure sentences. That's not how I learned how to form my thoughts and make them understandable to the reader. How I learned, and what I'm going to recommend to you if you're watching this and if you want to have access, like this is something anyone can do. This is something we all have the ability to do that they don't tell you how to do, that academics and teachers and professors and all those people, they don't usually tell you how to just pick up those things on your own, because you can. What I recommend to you is read. Keep reading. Read whatever you can get your hands on. There are databases online that you can access for free. It doesn't matter if it's quality, quote unquote, writing. It doesn't matter if it's well written, quote unquote. Read fantasy books, read graphic novels, read poetry and memoir, academic stuff if you want. Read fanfiction. That is like one of the most easily accessible things on the internet, I think. That is what I did. I just kept reading. And what this will do, it will alter how you think about how to process your thoughts and how to synthesize them, how to contain them in words on the written page, subconsciously. Because your brain will be working behind the scenes, and what reading and practicing, or not practicing it, but like, it will alter how you think about words and how you think about, you'll pick up on grammar subconsciously. You'll pick up sentence structure and the meanings of words all subconsciously. If you think of like any language, we all learn how to speak or sign or communicate socially. We're not babies, and we're not reading like, Faust. We're not reading like Shakespeare when we're babies. That's not how we learn. Written English is the same way. And it works for some people, and For the rest of us, it doesn't work that way. This is the way I have found the easiest and most successful way to do it. Just keep reading. And subconsciously, naturally, you'll just pick up on how to make your ideas and make what you have to say understandable to audience, because you will be the audience and you will come to understand how those things are communicated in a natural way, to the point where you probably won't, after a while, you won't even recognize like how you learned the things you learned. When you begin to write, it'll just happen. You'll learn, or maybe it will be conscious. Maybe you'll realize like, oh, I've been using the Oxford comma wrong. Wow. Okay, cool. And you'll realize those sorts of things as you read. But it's, again, high academia won't, it's not in people's interest. People in a high academia, cisgender, straight, white folks, it's not in their interests to make those, make that way of learning accessible or known to you, because they want to keep the status quo. And the status quo is that they are in charge and they want to make their resources only accessible to people like them. Sorry, I bumped the thingy. But this way of learning is not something they can actively take away. They can only omit it. They can only, just not tell you about it. I'm telling you about it. Okay? Read. And I promise you can fool anybody into thinking that you learned about grammar in the conventional way. That's how I did it. So, yeah, just keep reading whatever you can get your hands on. Fan fiction, highly recommend it. It's so accessible. Go on to Archive of Our Own. It's all over. Read fan fiction. Read academic work if you want. Read memoir and poetry and fantasy, science fiction, fiction, history, whatever. Read. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. No, thank you for watching. And I hope I wasn't too rambly, but yeah, I want to make these resources accessible to people. I want to share what I have to, what I have learned as someone who has a master's degree, somehow. But yeah, grammar and the way that we think about it in academia, in college, in high school, and how it's taught to us, it's a lie. Just keep reading. It's what you can do. It's what it's what is accessible, the most accessible way to learn it. So do it. And again, thank you for watching. I hope you have a lovely day.